Hello again, everybody. David Clary along with Zach Dorman and Joey Weston live here in Maryville as the Wildcats of Oak Ridge baseball team gets set to take on the Maryville Rebels for the second time in a little less than 10 days. The Wildcats losing the first game 15-1 at Bobby Hopkins Field. Oak Ridge fans hoping for a different outcome here tonight, but Maryville was really tough as we saw a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, they were. Maryville ended up beating Oak Ridge Wildcats 15-1, and they did run rule them in the fifth inning. So the Oak Ridge Wildcats, they're going to have to make some changes this game, David.
Biggest concern right now looking out the window of the press box, and we want to thank the people of Maryville for allowing us inside the press box. As most of you Oak Ridge fans know, a lot of times we're outside, but today the weather is not really cooperating. The first time we've really had to deal with weather in any of our baseball broadcasts, and hopefully it'll stay away. Good news is Maryville has turf on the infield in the dirt area, which is also turf, and just the infield area. The only concern, I guess, would be the outfield. It's not raining hard for sure, and the forecast is not for any kind of hard rain until after midnight today, so hopefully we'll be able to get through the ball game without any difficulties. Joey, you've got the starting lineups for tonight's game.
Leading things off tonight for the Oak Ridge Wildcats is Caden Black at shortstop. Batting second, Mikey Teasley at third base. Batting third, Tyler Pickens at first. Batting fourth, Richie Ferreira in center field. Batting fifth, Jacob Franklin in left field. Batting sixth, Eddie Tan, DHing tonight. Batting seventh, Cam Welch in right field. Batting eighth, Kyron Welch at catcher. Batting ninth, Jason Slay at second base. And on the mound tonight is John Ulrich.
The rain is starting to come down a little harder. I'm looking into the Oak Ridge stands there. The umbrellas are up. It's the hardest it's actually rained since we've been here.
Yeah, that's right. And leading things off for Maryville tonight is Landon Dockery in center field. Batting second, Will Hefner in right field. Batting third, Isaiah French at catcher. Batting fourth, Sam Young. He's DHing for Brody McMurray, who's at second base. Batting fifth, Josh Neto at first base. Batting sixth, Eli Haynes in left field. Batting seventh, Brady Orr at third base. Batting eighth, Kane Baber at shortstop. And on the mound tonight for Maryville is Max Coleman in the 9th position.
Let's talk a little bit about last night's game played at the Pigeon Forge Tigers, and what a great job of pitching Dylan Lloyd did. I mean, struck out 16 Wildcats, and this is a team that doesn't strike out really that much. Just a phenomenal pitched game. We heard about him coming in, and obviously he's going to pitch at UT. Obviously, the UT only gets some of the better pitchers, and he lived up to his billing last night.
Yes, he did, and I did hear he's averaged 16 strikeouts this year. It's super impressive, especially against the kind of competition that they're playing against.
Wildcats had their opportunity. If you remember I guess it was the third inning, Oak Ridge had the bases loaded, and he was able to wiggle out, bases loaded with nobody out, and he was able to wiggle out of that. And that, as Coach Free told me after the ball game, that's a sign of a good pitcher. I mean, and he also said, if you heard what he said to me, he said, good pitchers very seldom get in trouble, and you've got to take advantage of when they do. And Oak Ridge did not last night in that one particular inning.
I do think it is good for the Oak Ridge Wildcats to face off against a pitcher like that. They're going to see it down the road here in this upcoming season, so it is nice for them to see that kind of competition.
We're getting closer and closer to the first pitch. The rain has slacked off once again. It's Oak Ridge and Maryville here in Maryville. This is a non-district ball game, of course, the second meeting between the two schools. We were talking up here before. It's been a while, really, since we played Maryville on any consistent basis. In baseball, anyway. We for years played them in basketball, and then that series kind of dropped off. We played them in football in the regular season and the playoffs several years ago, but for whatever reason, we haven't played them as much. I guess when Mr. Hedrick retired, he used to be the athletic director. He used to kind of have a good relationship with Oak Ridge, and maybe that's not what I should say. They probably don't have a bad relationship, but whatever reason, they're not communicating as well. We don't play them as much, but I'm glad they're on the schedule.
Maryville does have a great sports program. I mean, their football team's really great. Their soccer team's good. Their baseball team, obviously, as we saw, 15-1, they are a really good team, really good offensively as well.
They took on Hardin Valley yesterday and won that game. We saw Hardin Valley in a scrimmage, and in that game was another 1-0 ball game against Hardin Valley that we saw. That was way back several weeks ago. As I see the Wildcats are heading out to left field. I haven't seen the emergence of the umpires here, so we're supposedly about a minute or two away from first pitch. It's Oak Ridge and Maryville. We're on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. We appreciate you watching. We could have a long day. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The Wildcats and Maryville Rebels. High school baseball here from Maryville, and we're going to take a break. We come back. Hopefully we'll have baseball for you. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. David Clary along with Joey Weston, Zach Norman with us as well. We're waiting for the weather to clear up a little bit. It's gotten a little brighter. It did kind of sprinkle on us all the way from Oak Ridge as we made our way towards the field here. Obviously, as I mentioned before, they've got a turf infield, which will help. And it's not raining really now, but it's coming in kind of spurts, Joey. It rains hard and then it stops. And I just heard some of the other people in the press box talking about some storms in West Knoxville. Hopefully they'll stay away. I do see the umpires moving towards the home plate area. The head coach of the Wildcats, Travis Free, is out there as well. So looks like we're just moments away from this ball game. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a little bit of sunshine over there to the right, so hopefully that's creeping up on us and not going away. But if that comes by, that should be nice.
Oak Ridge next week will play against the Powell Panthers. That'll be another district ball game. The Wildcats will travel to Powell on Monday, and then Powell will come to Bobby Hopkins Field for a Tuesday ball game. Then Oak Ridge will be hosting several teams from out of state, several from West Virginia and all around in a big tournament being played all over, really, the Knoxville area. And we'll have a lot of ball games back to back to back at Bobby Hopkins Field and all over. And I think the first team they're playing is from West Virginia. The second team is from Georgia, I believe. So be a lot of baseball played at Oak Ridge starting next Wednesday. But, of course, the first things is Monday and Tuesday, those games against Powell. And, Joey, I know when you played, and just like for years in our district, Powell has been the team to beat for the last several years. And we'll see how good they are this year. They lost a lot to graduation, but they always seem to reload at Powell High School.
Yeah, Powell's a great team. I personally remember playing against them sophomore year. I mean, everything was great with their team, their offense, their defense. And I do remember their catcher, super good player. I think he's at Vanderbilt now. So he was senior back then. Great player. I mean, Powell, almost all their hitters were able to put the ball over the fence. I mean, there wasn't really a weak spot in that lineup at all.
You know, Joey, we have to admit that we've been pretty lucky with the weather. We haven't had to deal with anything but cold, really. in the previous games that we have done. And I guess this is, 8 or 9 games we've broadcast so far. But and right now it's not raining at all, so hopefully we'll have a free of rain ball game. And as the officials are meeting with the two coaches of the various teams, I was going to say managers, but I was thinking that's Major League and not high school. We're just moments away from Oak Ridge High School baseball. Stay with us on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. A little bit of a delay because of the rain, but we'll be underway shortly. Thanks for tuning us in. We'll keep us online here. We'll be back in a moment.
Tonight's game between the visiting Wildcats of Oak Ridge High School
Great job with our national anthem. As we're about to have baseball, it's brightening up here, which is the good news here. Joey, the Wildcats and Maryville Rebels about to get set. Oak Ridge wearing their Cardinal jerseys with gray baseball pants and gray numerals. The Maryville Rebels wearing their white baseball pants, blue jerseys with white and red. About to get set, Oak Ridge and Maryville. Second time, as I mentioned, in the last 10 days or so. They took us to the woodshed the last time. The Wildcats hoping for better outcome here tonight in Maryville. Getting brighter here. That's one good sign, Joey.
That's right. And, you know, talking about those jerseys, I am a big fan of those Maryville jerseys. They've got kind of the American theme going on right on the center of their jersey. So, got to say, I do like those.
Why don't you refresh us on the starting lineups for the Wildcats?
Batting first is Caden Black. Second, Mikey Teasley. Batting third, Tyler Pickens. Batting fourth, Richie Ferreira. Batting fifth, Jacob Franklin. Batting in the sixth slot, Eddie Tan. Batting seventh, Cam Welch. Batting eighth, Kyron Welch. Batting nine, Jason Slay.
Why don't you set the defense for the Maryville Rebels as well?
Tonight on the mound is going to be Max Coleman, number 27. Catching for him tonight is Isaiah French. In center field, Landon Dockery. In right field, Will Hepner. At batting fourth he has a designated hitter, is Brody McMurray out at second base. Josh Netto at first base. Eli Haynes in left field. And Brady Orr at third base.
I just watched their shortstop take a nasty tumble. I guess he's okay. I think he's probably a little bit more embarrassed than anything. I don't know if we caught that on camera, but he took a little bit of a tumble, and he's laughing about it. There's a long throw down to second, and we're about to have baseball for you here from Maryville. Leading things off, as Joey mentioned, is the junior, the All-Stater from a year ago, and that would be Caden Black. Caden was an All-State shortstop a year ago for the Wildcats. Hit over 500 last year legitimately. As we've seen, he can steal a base. He doesn't have home run power, but he has gap power for sure. He just has a lot of speed. The one thing that I was telling you the other day, I guess just yesterday, as we were broadcasting the Pigeon Forge game. And here's the first pitch of the ball game. It's going to be in there for a called strike. It surprises me, honestly, that Caden doesn't bunt more than he does.
I'm surprised at that. I mean, Caden Black has no problem getting on base most games. I do appreciate that he is the leadoff hitter for Oak Ridge. He can almost always get on base.
Pitch is low and inside, evens the count at 1 ball, 1 strike, just underway. Nobody on, nobody out. Wildcats batting in the top of the first inning. 1 ball, 1 strike the count. The righty comes to the plate to pitch. High and inside, 2 balls and 1 strike. I don't know that I remember a game in the last 2 years that we've covered that Caden, if he does get on base, that he doesn't go. I mean, he never has the stop sign. He'll go on the first or second pitch always. 2-1 pitch, a little bit low, I guess. Count is 3 balls and 1 strike.
He really is a smart base runner. I mean, you see the jumps he can get. Not only does his speed help him out, but him being able to read the pitcher is just a great ability from him.
Mikey Teasley's on deck for the Wildcats. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Hit well. Right side. Drifting towards the right field line, and it's going to be caught in foul territory for out number 1. Don't see him pop the ball up that much. He got around on it, and that's out number 1 here in the first inning.
Batting now is Mikey Teasley, the third baseman and a freshman.
He was the starting pitcher against Maryville the first time around. He is a freshman. He'll stand in for the Wildcats. Has hit the ball well as of late. Has fielded his position at third very well for Oak Ridge. John Ulrich's going to get the start today for the Wildcats. First pitch to Mikey is a breaking pitch. It stays up high, and the count is 1 ball and no strikes.
Mikey's great all around the field. I mean, he really is. He's a pitcher. He can field. He can hit. He can pretty much almost do it all.
1-0 pitch. Hit right up the middle. That's a base hit. Solid single to center. And the Wildcats have a base runner here in the top of the first inning. Just didn't do anything fancy. Didn't try to hit it out of the park. Just made solid contact. And the Wildcats have a base runner.
Batting now is Tyler Pickens, the first baseman for Oak Ridge.
Tyler, a transfer from Hardin Valley Academy, stands in. Has had a really good start to his senior campaign for the Wildcats. Not only on the mound, but hitting the ball and fielding his position, whether it be at third or at first. Mikey takes a short lead at first. Pickens in from the stretch. Throw over to first. Back safely will go the freshman.
I am interested to see how the Wildcats do against this pitcher. I'm not saying he's, a lot worse than Dylan Loy, but, he looks like a good pitcher out there. But Dylan Loy is a UT commit. Let's not forget that. So I am interested to see how they do against him.
The speed's a little different for sure. See what Mikey does here. He's going on the second pitch. Here's the throw down, and Teasley is in safely with a stolen base. The Wildcats have a runner in scoring position with one out and a 1-ball, 1-strike count, I do believe, on Tyler Pickens. Maybe just 1 strike.
Are we surprised that Oak Ridge already has a stolen base?
No,
definitely not.
That's what Coach Free does. I mean, he'll steal 10. If we get base runners on, he'll steal 10 times a game. That's their MO. Tyler back in, right-handed hitting senior. Freshman takes his lead off of second base. Second baseman slightly shading that way towards the bag. Going to keep him close. The pitch to Tyler, breaking pitch hit well to center and deep. Center fielder back on it. He makes the catch, tagging at second, and moving on to third is Mikey Teasley. But there are 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. But Teasley gets over to third. But well hit ball there by Tyler, just right to the center fielder.
Really nice hit. It almost got over the center fielder. He was able to get back and make a good play. Batting now is Richie Ferreira, the center fielder.
Richie is a sophomore. Came to us from California. I think a lot of people are always surprised at the transient nature of Oak Ridge. There's just kind of a city where people move in and move out. And that's why we have several. Timeout is asked for by Richie, and the sophomore steps back in, hitting from the left side. Teasley takes his lead off of third. 2 outs here in the first inning.
Speaking of coming from California, I do know a lot of people at Oak Ridge that are from Florida, from California, just far away. So, got a lot of new people coming in.
Well, Joey, where were you born?
I was born in Clemson, South Carolina, along with Zach Dorman over here to the left. He was also born in South Carolina.
Well, I knew that, actually. We haven't his brother's converted to UT, but I don't know if Zach will ever do that. 1-ball, no strikes to Richie. The pitch, breaking pitch hit well to right field, but the right fielder is there for the stop. The out. The good news is the Wildcats hit the ball well. The bad news is they hit it right at the defenders for the Maryville Rebels. The Wildcats pick up a base runner. They leave him stranded. We go to the bottom half of the first inning. Here in Maryville, the Wildcats and Rebels tied at 0. We'll be back on our YouTube channel in a moment. David Clary back here along with Joey Weston, Zach Dorman, the Wildcats of Oak Ridge, and the Maryville Rebels playing here in Maryville. We go to the bottom half of the first inning. John Ulrich will be the pitcher for the Wildcats. He is a junior. He's 1-0 on the year with a victory over South Doyle. You've got the leadoff man for the Rebels.
This is Landon Dockery. I believe he was the one that hit that home run against Oak Ridge first at bat.
First pitch of the game, if I remember correctly.
Bobby Hopkins.
Right-handed pitcher. Junior. Like as I said, he's 1-0 with a victory over South Doyle. Pitch. Low and inside. 1 ball, no strikes. kind of brightening up to our right, towards right field. You can kind of see the mountains a little bit better. Kyron Welch is the catcher. He gives the sign. John comes in with a high fastball, and it's 2-0.
I believe this is John's first start in a long time.
Well, it was a South Doyle game. I think you missed it. That was the game you weren't able to go to. Last Thursday, he started against South Doyle. The ball's hit in the left field. That's a base hit. So a good start for the Rebels. Leadoff single for them. Good news, it didn't leave the park, as we saw at Bobby Hopkins.
Better start than last time, for sure. But batting now is Will Hefner, the right fielder for Maryville. I believe he also had a home run against Oak Ridge at Bobby Hopkins Field.
Left-handed hitter. Yeah, I think he hit one like 3 pitches later at Bobby Hopkins against Mikey. Runner going, pitches high. Here's a throw down, and he's got an easy stolen base. And they'll have a runner in scoring position. So kind of very similar starts to the two teams' first innings. The Wildcats had a 1-out single, and they've got a runner in scoring position. Ulrich trying to maneuver his way through this powerful Maryville lineup. Behind in the count, 1 ball and no strikes.
On that stolen base, that's the second time I've seen. Mikey did the same thing. He almost got over the base. I guess it's slick out there over that second base.
Well, we did have some rain just a few moments ago, and I would assume so, especially on this artificial turf. 1 ball, 1 strike. He attempted to bunt there and fouled it back to the screen. Runner at second for the Rebels. Bottom of the first inning, scoreless game. Pitch. Breaking pitch stays way outside. 2-1 the count. I'll set the defense for the Wildcats in a moment. John covers his face with his glove as he looks in for the sign from Kyron Welch, the catcher. Junior catcher for the Wildcats. 2-1 pitch. A little bit high. And the count is 3-1. Tyler Pickens is the first baseman for the Wildcats. Jason Slay, senior, at second base. Junior Caden Black is at short. The freshman Mikey Teasley's at third. We'll set the outfield for you in a moment. Kyron Welch, junior catcher. John Ulrich, the pitcher. The 3-1 pitch. Hit in the air, right side. Right fielder coming in. A little slow break on it, and he is just barely going to get to it. That's Camden Welch. You know, for outfielder's first step is typically back, and he had trouble, it looked like, picking it up and had to recover and did a really good job recovering to make the out for the first out of the inning.
Yeah, I think that ball was just launched right up there. He wasn't able to tell right off the bat, but like you said, good recovery. Batting now is Isaiah French, the catcher for Maryville.
I'm sure Stewart wants to hear the beautiful voice of Zach on the air here in a bit. We'll see if we can get him on. Zach Dorman doing our camera work. Haven't seen him in a while. Joey, where has he been?
That's a question Zach might have to answer here soon.
Yeah, I mean, he used to be a valued member of our crew, but it's been like years since I've seen him help us.
Yeah, since the basketball season, I believe.
Yeah, it was all the way back in 2022. Years.
Has he done a baseball game before?
I don't think so. 1 ball, no strikes. Pickoff move back at second. Good move there by John. Jason Slay came over to cover the bag, but easily back to the bag. 1 out here in the bottom of the first. We have a scoreless game. Both teams have 1 hit apiece.
Now this Maryville team is in a different district, if some of you may not know. In that district, they've got Beard and Farragut, Hardin Valley.
It's a tough one.
All really good.
Pitches hit to the left side and fielded by the left fielder. They'll play safe and keep the runner at third, but a solid hit past Mikey at third, and they've got runners at first and third. The good news is, actually John's keeping the ball down, keeping the ball in the park, but they've got runners on the corners with only 1 out.
Batting now is the DH, Sam Young. Like we said, this Maryville team is really good offensively. A lot of power for this team.
And we saw that last week for sure. See what John can do. John, if you remember, in the South Doyle game last week that he won, he had a rough start to the game, but then I think he pitched the full 7 innings, and I think the Wildcats scored 7 unanswered runs as that ball is ripped to right in the gap. Camden is back on it. It's over his head. One run will score, at least another one will score. Rounding third, getting the green light, and here's the throw in, and it's 2-0. Ball was roped to right field. Camden went back on it, but it went between him and Ritchie all the way back to the fence, and Maryville's on top by a score of 2-0.
And that's why he's the DH. That ball was ripped. But now batting fifth is Josh Nadeau, the first baseman.
I know you were concerned about how you pronounce that.
Neto, I apologize for all the Maryville viewers.
You know, he went over and over and over with that with you. Yeah.
I still got it wrong.
Yeah. You know what? I do it all the time. I mean, like I told you the other day, it never fails. When you look at the roster for the first time, you see a name and you think, hopefully that guy will not play. He will not see it, and he's the leadoff man, or he's the first man to make a tackle or a touchdown for the other team. So I try to make a point to go talk to the people, but sometimes in football rosters when you got 85 to 90 players, it's difficult. But it's always that name is the first one I usually. The ball bounces away from Kyron back to the screen, and they've got a runner at third. That has been a little bit of a problem for the Wildcats at times this year, kind of blocking the plate, and that one bounced away, and they've got a runner at third.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot, especially against the Central team. There were a lot of wild pitches that resulted in probably half of their runs. So that's definitely something that, the Oak Ridge catchers probably working on in practice.
The Wildcats graduated their top catcher from a year ago, and their second catcher who played the most last year with his arm surgery is not going to be able to play catcher this year. But Camden's done a pretty good job filling in that role. As the pitch from John is hit foul back to the right side and out of play. And the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. We've got 1 out, 2 in for Maryville in the bottom of the first inning. They've got a runner at third. 2 balls, 1 strike is officially the count. So he holds up. John working from the stretch. The junior comes to the plate, cut on and foul tipped, and the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And that catcher you were referring to earlier was Jacob Franklin. He's an all-around player. He really is a great player. He's in the outfield now. I believe he was in the infield for some of his first couple of years here at ORHS, but he's also a pitcher, so pretty much an all-around guy.
2-strike pitch just outside. Really nice looking pitch there by John. Just missed the corner just barely. And the count is full now. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Really nice pitch there by John.
Yeah, that was nice. It was borderline strike ball. But
2 in. Runner at third. 3 balls, 2 strikes the count. Ork to the plate. Breaking pitch. That was high and inside. And that is ball 4, and they've got him on the corners once again.
Next up for Maryville, number 7, Eli.
Batting now is number 7, Eli Haynes, the left fielder for Maryville.
Another left-handed batter. I'm looking at the Oak Ridge coaching staff signaling to the defense what they want. I see the batter looking down at his coach outside the third base coaching box. Gotten much brighter, and that's the good news. We were so concerned we were going to have to set up outside. We would have been drenched, and our equipment would have been destroyed. That first pitch to him is a ball. 1 ball, no strikes.
Yeah, and also the rain delays. Those got to be one of the worst things in baseball. I mean, really so boring.
Runner at first. He fakes the break towards second. I don't think he's going to go. I don't know him, but he doesn't look like he's a speedster. But, looks can be deceiving. 2 balls and no strikes. Runner at third, the pitch. Hit well and caught by Jason Slade. He got an opportunity for a double play, and they've got it. Nice play by Slade. Makes a great diving catch out at second base and threw from his knees to Tyler Pickens covering the bag at first, and that is a double play. But the Rebels score 2, and they lead Oak Ridge 2-0. We go to the bottom or the top of the second. 2-0 Maryville. We'll be back in a moment. back once again to Maryville as we get set for the second inning. Oak Ridge trails 2-0 to the Rebels. Jacob Franklin will lead things off for the Wildcats. Really an excellent play there by Jason Slay.
Yeah, that was awesome, and great awareness as well to go ahead and turn that double play. Great job by Tyler Pickens, too, to get back on the bag. I know he was hustling there. I don't know if he was really expecting it.
Pitch is a called strike. Hand your mic over to Zach, and let's ask him where he's been for the last several months. Zach, where have you been? You were an integral part of our crew, and then all of a sudden you just disappeared.
That's right. Well, I've been pretty busy with soccer lately, some academics, and, my brother Stuart, he used to help David, but he hasn't been doing that really lately.
You're exactly right. I know he's listening to our broadcast, too, right now. 1-1 strike to Jacob. The pitch hit foul back to the screen. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. I don't know how much we can say how appreciative we are of being able to sit in the press box for this one. We would have been soaked for sure. Pitch to Jacobs, cut on and missed, and that is a strikeout, and that is out number 1 here in the second inning. And the batter now will be the senior Eddie Tan.
Eddie Tan, he's a really good hitter. I mean, his contact is, really good compared to a lot of other players.
Right-handed hitter. He's also coming off of a full rotator cuff surgery. Not able to really see much action in the field yet. And he told me the other day that he's just happy to be playing because, full rotator cuff, and it happened in the summer. So he hasn't really had a whole lot of time to, get ready. But, he's done a good job, at least at the plate. And he swings and he misses at that one. The count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike.
When he is in the field, he usually is in the outfield, correct?
He's an outfielder, correct. But I don't think we'll see him really play much in the outfield this year. 1-1 pitch in the air, right center field. And the right fielder once again makes the catch for out number 2.
A lot of action for the right fielder. That is the 3rd fly out that headed over that way. Now batting for Oak Ridge is Cam Welch, the right fielder.
Cam is a freshman, also a good-looking prospect for the Wildcats, playing right field. We'll see some action on the mound for the Wildcats. Oak Ridge, a reasonably young team, facing a very veteran-looking team. I don't know the classes of these Rebels as he swings and he half-heartedly takes a cut at it, and it's a strike, and the count is 0-1. Nobody aboard. 2 outs here in the top of the second inning from Maryville. 2-0 the score.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I was about to say nice breaking ball by the Maryville pitcher there. That had a lot of movement on it.
That's a ball, 1 ball, 1 strike. I was just going to say the sun's starting to come out a little bit. Blue sky. Hopefully we'll have smooth sailing the rest of the way, Joey.
Let's hope so. Let's not jinx it.
Yeah, I've probably done that. You know me. I do that quite a bit. I'll say, well, we haven't struck out in this entire ball game. And we have 3 up and 3 down with 3 strikeouts. That won't be the case, and I'm not going to say that again. 2 balls, 1 strike. Pitch. Hit foul. Back our way. And the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
The big difference this game than yesterday is not as many strikeouts. I mean, we saw 16 yesterday. It's a lot.
Well, and our pitcher struck out 8 of them. So, I mean, there was a lot. There was very little contact. 3 total hits, I believe, in the ballgame. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Camden back in. Left-handed hitting freshman, and the pitch. Call strike 3, and that is out number 3. 3 up and 3 down for the Wildcats in the second. We go to the bottom half of the second inning here at Maryville, and the Wildcats trail it 2-0. We'll be back on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio, in a moment. Welcome back to Maryville once again. We go to the bottom of the second inning. 2-0 Rebels. John Lowick begins his second inning of work. His second start ever as a Wildcat. Got his first win last Thursday against South Doyle in a 7-4 win. Bobby Hopkins will play South Doyle a little bit later on in April. We're about to turn over to the month of April tomorrow. And, you know, the Braves started yesterday. Joey won. And they'll play Washington again tomorrow. Their first home game, the Braves, will be on the 6th of April, taking on the San Diego Padres.
Die-hard fan over here of the Braves. David.
1 ball, no strikes to count. The pitch.
Leading off is Brady Orr for Maryville. He's their third baseman, and he's also a pitcher. The Wildcats faced him at home last week.
1 ball, 1 strike. Nobody aboard, nobody out. Breaking pitch outside the ball. And the count is 2 balls and 1 strike. Kind of eager to see what people are. Oh, I've got the chat up on the stream. I'll be eager to kind of see what. We're not usually. That ball's ripped to left. Left fielder back on it, makes the catch. That is Jacob Franklin in left field. Ball was hit like a bullet, but right at Jacob, and that's out number 1.
A lot of action for the outfielders this game. Batting now is Kane Baber, the shortstop for Maryville.
I was going to say, I'll be eager to see what we're not usually, the camera's not usually this close to the netting. And I know these cameras are sensitive. Sometimes try to pick up the net, like my eyes. I have to kind of look through it myself to see the action. But I'm actually glad we have the netting, to be honest with you. Maybe not necessarily in here, but because we're a little closer to the action than we are at home.
Yeah, it's nice. You know, I feel like I'm almost on the field.
This is a beautiful facility here at Maryville. It's at one of their intermediate schools. That ball is ripped to the right side, and it's going to drop in for a base hit in front of Camden. And that's a 1-out single for the Maryville Rebels, and they've got another base runner. That's the 4th hit of the ball game against John Ulrich.
It's already more than there was yesterday, the entire game. But batting now is Max Coleman, the pitcher.
Max is a big, burly right-handed hitter, looking down at his coach for the signs. Adam Sullivan is the head coach at Maryville High School. Travis Free, the head coach at Oak Ridge. Pitch is high, 1 ball, no strikes. I don't think I finished the outfield. We've got Jacob Franklin is the left fielder for Oak Ridge. Richie Ferreira is in center. Camden Welch out in right field. Kyron Welch, his older brother, is the catcher. And the pitcher is John Ulrich. Count is even, 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 on. They've got a runner at first base. Maryville on top, 2-0. We're in the second. Good lead at first, really big lead at first. John's going to watch him. And he bluffs towards second, but stays put, and that pitch is high and inside. And the count is 2 balls and 1 strike.
It's already been 2 stolen bases this game. The leadoff hitter for Maryville stole base, and Mikey Teasley for Oak Ridge.
John comes to the plate, pitch is hit. Foul territory over the top of us and out of play. And the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
John Ulrich has yet to have a strikeout this game. Eager to see him get his first.
Joey, when you were playing ball, did you play Maryville either in a junior varsity game or a varsity game?
I do not believe we did.
Yeah, I couldn't remember either. I was trying to remember the last time I broadcast one. Throw over to first and back easily to the bag. It was their base runner. The last time that I remember broadcasting a game, you know, I've been doing this all your life and Zach's life combined, but was at their old field. And they played at Maryville College, I was told, for about 10 years, and we never played them in that stretch of time. Ball's hit softly on the infield. Caden Black fields it nicely. Throws on the first low, but in time to retire the base runner for out number 2. Ball was softly hit. Caden made a really nice play on a short hop and throws him out for out number 2.
Yeah, super nice. That ball kind of just hit the turf and skyrocketed right off of it, and he was able to get the ball. But batting now is Maryville's leadoff hitter, Landon Dockery.
As we saw in the game at Oak Ridge. He had a home run against the Wildcats. Pitch is high and outside. And the count is 1 ball and no strikes. I guess that's the intermediate school. I don't know how old it is, but it looks nice. Fairly new. Beautiful facility. Their own field finally, I guess. They're kind of landlocked at the high school. They don't have a whole lot of room. Ball's hitting foul territory. Tyler Pickens gives it a look, but it's down in their bullpen area. And the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. It's like Oak Ridge, and people always wonder why our football field is not located at the high school. Well, when they built the high school in 1943, the football field where Blankenship Field is where the high school was. So they moved the high school, kept the field there, and that's why. And same with the baseball field. There just wasn't a lot of room in the original high school, so they built the field back where it is currently. Here's a throw down the second, not in time. Swinging strike, by the way. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And about the fields, I believe track and the soccer team are the only ones that have their home field or track at the actual high school.
Correct, and obviously the volleyball team and the basketball team will play at home. But you're right, the other football team plays in Jackson Square, and the baseball field is, of course, at the Bobby Hopkins complex. And that field's built in the 40s.
Oh,
and yeah,
the tennis courts too at
yeah,
Oak Ridge
you're
High School.
exactly right. Correct. But I'll tell this story in a minute. Hopefully, John, see what he does here. Oh man, that's pretty good from here. Maybe a little low, a little outside, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs. Good pitch there by John, trying to get out of the second inning. He's got a runner at second. There are 2 outs. Ulrich, the junior, has the sign. Checks the runner at second. Here's the 2-2 pitch. It once again foul off to the right.
Landon Dockery, the batter for Maryville, had a single his first at-bat. Really hard hit right over in between the gap of short and third base.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Going to do some Blankenship Field trivia here in a moment. It's not trivia, it's just kind of a humorous stories that happens as John steps off the rubber. With Googling and GPS and such, people, they'll typically, when they're coming to a football game, I'll talk about that in a second, 2-2 pitch, hit foul again. They'll Google the high school, they'll show up at the high school and look at our practice field and say, there's no way in the world Oak Ridge plays football on that field. And then they panic trying to figure out, there's so many people, they keep somebody at the high school to tell people where the field is if they haven't been to Blankenship Field before, because they're expecting it to be at the high school. Interesting, funny tidbit there. 2 balls and 2 strikes. At least to me it was. 2-2 pitch. High and inside, full count again. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
It may not be so hard to find the field. You got almost everybody in Oak Ridge going to the football games. I mean, it's packed out.
What are you saying? There's nothing else to do in Oak Ridge on a Friday night in the fall?
It's a very football kind of city.
Much like this city that's won a ton of state championships. Throw back to second once again. And not in time. 2-0 our score as the Rebels bat in the bottom of the second inning. They've got a runner at second, 2 outs as I mentioned. A 3-ball, 2-strike count on the batter. John comes to the plate. Outside, and that's ball 4. So they have runners at first and second with 2 outs.
Nice job by Landon Dockery to get that walk, come back in the count. Batting now is Will Hepner, the right fielder, who flew out.
So, Joey, you're a senior. What are your plans after high school?
I'm planning on attending UTK this fall. I'm going to be majoring in wildlife and minoring in business.
We'll ask Zach's plans in a moment. He's trying to think of those plans as we speak. What is Zach going to do with his life? That's the question.
Maybe we'll be able to get him on here pretty shortly.
Squares to bunt, hits it foul back to the screen on the left side. The count is 0-1. I don't want to jinx this, but it's turning out to be a pretty nice looking day here.
Yes, it is. It looks like that sunshine just kind of crept over from the right.
Lights are on. They've been on the entire game. Runners at first and second. 2 outs. 1 strike the count. Here's the pitch. Hit on the ground. In the right field, just over the head of the first baseman, and Tyler Pickens, who was playing in. So they have a run in, and it's 3-0. He was playing in, and the ball just took a high hop on the turf. And I guess, you know, this is artificial turf, and I guess it bounces maybe a little bit higher than he anticipated. And that's a run for them, and they lead it 3-0.
That ball kind of just flew right off the turf there and got over the head of Tyler Pickens. But up to bat now is Isaiah French, the catcher. He had a single, his first at bat, and 2 RBIs thus far.
Got the ground ball he wanted. It just popped up too high, as Joey said. Pitch. Breaking pitch down low. 1 ball, no strikes. They have a couple runners in scoring position now. Already on top 3-0. Out hit the Wildcats 5-1. Mikey Teasley has the only base knock for Oak Ridge to this point. 1 ball, no strikes. Breaking pitch, belt high, called a strike, evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike.
Really nice pitch there from
John Ulrich. You know what Brain did there for a second.
I keep forgetting, you know.
His dad's in the booth here with us, so yeah. Here's the pitch, hit on the ground, shortstop. Caden Black fields it, has time, throws on the first in time for out number 3. But the Rebels put up another run, and they leave a couple stranded. We go to the top of the 3rd inning. Here in Maryville, the Wildcats of Oak Ridge trailing 3-0, coming to bat on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back once again to Maryville. Wildcats trailing 3-0 in this non-district ball game between District 3 opponent and a District 4 opponent. Maryville's got a good-looking baseball team. I think they beat Farragut the other day, if I'm correct. I think that happened. You know, that's the powerhouse team of East Tennessee and the state, several state championships. If Maryville's the king of football, Farragut would be the king of baseball in terms of state champions in the last 20 years or so.
Personally, I don't remember playing against Farragut, but I have seen they are a very good team. Batting now is Kyron Welch, the catcher for Oak Ridge.
Right-handed hitter, and we've got a new pitcher in the ball game for the Rebels.
That would be Garrett Knopf.
And his first pitch, evidently a little outside, maybe low. Count is 1 ball, no strike. Looked good, that first pitch. Threw it hard. Right-handed thrower. It's the right-handed hitting junior catcher for the Wildcats. The pitch, about outside just a little bit outside. Goes hard. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Just barely missing.
Barely. You know, this is his first time coming in this game. You know, a lot of pitchers start off, well, I wouldn't say weak. They start off slow, and then they get more into the role of it.
And that was a nice one right there, right down the middle. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Kyron back in. He's working quickly. Here's the pitch. That's ball 3. His 3 balls have been almost in the exact same spot, just outside the plate, on the outside, not even towards the left-handed batter's box, but just barely off the plate. He's working quickly, as I said. 3-1 pitch. hit well. Right field, base hit. Good start for the Wildcats. They get a leadoff single as Kyron reaches base, and Kyron needed that. It's been a while since he picked up a base knock, and he really needed that. And we'll probably get a courtesy runner, and indeed we will. That'll be Izzy Mitchell coming in the run for him.
We've seen Izzy Mitchell get into a lot of these games. He doesn't hit that often, but he's a really good pinch runner. He's played many varsity games as one. Batting now is Jason Slay, the second baseman for Oak Ridge.
Jason's hitting in the number 9 spot. Yesterday he hit number 8 in the order. A little bit of a change. Izzy back to the bag. I would expect to see Izzy going in the first or second pitch. That's what they do. Right-handed hitter. Here's another throw over, and good move by the pitcher, and he's back easily. Izzy Mitchell, the base runner. He's a junior. Remember the Oak Ridge football team. He'll probably play a lot of receiver this year for Oak Ridge. Not very big. Cut on a miss by Jason. The count is no balls and 1 strike. He's got really good hands. I don't know if you remember some of the early ball games during football season. Had some really fine catches. Had a couple of really good ones against Bearden that I remember. Has bell rung against Bearden one time too. Takes a good lead at first, not going. Pitch is outside a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. You can see on his face the pitcher. He's throwing well. I mean, he's hitting that same spot, and it's just off the plate.
Yeah, no, he's gonna try to get that pitch a little bit over. He's really consistent right now in where he's putting them.
Izzy looks like he might. Nope, he's going to stay. Breaking pitch stays up high. 2 balls and 1 strike. Second pitcher used by Maryville. I see in our bullpen to the left, the Franklin brothers are throwing. Alex is catching, and Jacob is warming up. We'll see if he'll come into the game. Izzy takes his lead. Not going. The pitch. He squares to bunt. Hits it back. Bunts it back to the pitcher. Underhand throw to first, and in time. And it's a sacrifice. And moving down to second will go Izzy Mitchell. We don't see many Oak Ridge players bunting. As of recently, we saw a couple try to put some down yesterday, but not a whole lot. They tend to just steal. But that time, straight up bunt, and pitcher made a nice play, and that's out number 1.
Personally, since I've been broadcasting with you, I haven't seen a successful bunt from Oak Ridge. So,
well, that was successful. I mean, it was a sacrifice. He didn't get on. Depends on what your definition of successful is.
no, I was calling that successful. Sorry about that. He moved the runner over. It was a good bunt. Batting now is Caden Black, the leadoff man for Oak Ridge.
You know, Joey there, Zach, but as that pitch is a little bit low, 1 ball, no strikes. Just kidding. Joey does a good job. Former Wildcat baseballer himself. Member of the Oak Ridge golf team. Plays hockey. You're an all-around good guy. Do you get good grades too?
Somewhat,
Yeah.
I'd say
Better
I
than
do all
Zach,
right.
I would assume, right?
Definitely.
Ball's hit to center field, pretty deep. Center fielder back on it, though. He's got a beat on it. Makes the one-handed grab, tagging at second, and coming over to third is Izzy Mitchell, and the ball was dropped out there, and the Wildcats, Izzy wasn't really looking at the coach, but it would have been a bang-bang play if he tried. You don't want to get him thrown out. We're down 3-0 as it is. Kind of situation we had in the first inning. Oak Ridge had a runner at third, unable to get him in. The guy that was at the base runner at third was the guy batting right now. That is Mikey Teasley. He led off his first inning with a single. He's 1 for 1 in the ball game. Right-handed hitting freshman. Pitch, breaking pitch, called a strike at the belt, and the count is 0-1.
Izzy Mitchell at third. Believe the third baseman coach was telling him to go, but he might have missed the signal.
Pitch is another beauty, called a strike, and the count is 0-2. Freshman's going to have to do it with 2 strikes. Tyler Pickens on deck for Oak Ridge. There are 2 outs. Runner at third in a 3-0 ball game. Pitch outside this time. Mikey's got some pretty good plate discipline for a freshman. He doesn't really stray outside the strike zone if it's not a strike. Very poised for a 14-year-old. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Izzy off of third, the pitch. High and outside again with the fastball. I think the first 2 pitches were breaking pitches in for strikes. He's gone outside with the fastball the last 2. And the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Mikey really is. I'm impressed. A freshman playing in these type of games. He always looks so calm and collected out there. really is impressive.
Yeah, for a freshman for sure, and he's smiling, kind of talking with the catcher. You know, he's just having a good time. And high school sports should be about having fun. There's a lot of pressure in it to some. Here's the 3-2 pitch, hit foul, just stayed alive, did Mikey, and the count remains full. It's all about fun in the high school level. And we saw last night some tempers in the stands a little bit for parents, but not the kids, honestly. And it should be about having fun.
Yeah, that was an entertaining game. The Oak Ridge student section always has something.
Hit on the ground. It's going to be a bang-bang play. He's going to have to throw it quickly, and he does in time for out number 3. Wildcats pick up a base runner. They leave him stranded. We go to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Here in Maryville, the Wildcats trailing the Rebels 3-0. We'll be back on YouTube in a moment. Welcome back once again to Maryville. David Clary, Joey Weston, Zach Dorman. We go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. John Ulrich beginning his 3rd inning of work for Oak Ridge. 3-0 Rebels. Left-handed hitter against the right-handed thrower, and the pitch is inside the ball. 1 ball, no strikes.
Batting now for Maryville is Sam Young.
Hitting the count, 1 ball, no strikes. Pitch is foul at the plate, and the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike.
He is the DH for Brody McMurray, and Sam Young was able to get a double his first at-bat.
Appreciate the people texting me about this frozen screen. Got that taken care of. Hope you enjoyed seeing that picture of our fabulous cameraman, Zach Dorman. 1-1 pitch, cut on a miss. Nice pitch there by John Ulrich, and the count is 1-2.
I also have to apologize for last inning. I forgot our pitcher's name, John Ulrich. He's a great ball player.
Nice guy too. He used to be part of my crew at some point too. So it's even worse. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That one's high. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nobody out. Bottom of the 3rd. Much different ball game than we saw last week. Much less scoring. Pitch. Called strike 3. That is the first strikeout, I believe, of the game for John Ulrich. Nice pitch there by John.
Great pitch. And up to bat now is Josh Netto, the first baseman for Maryville. He has walked his first at bat.
The Rebels have out-hit the Wildcats 5-2. No errors charged in the game. It's been a clean one so far. Both teams. Pitch. Hit to right field softly, and it's going to drop in for another base hit. Just poked his bat out there and just popped it into right field. And that's 1 out single for the Rebels. Nothing fancy at all. He didn't try to go deep with it. He just put his bat where the ball was pitched and poked it into right field.
I mean, still, there's a lot of balls being put out to the right side of the field this game that I've noticed. Up to bat now is Eli Haynes, the left fielder for Maryville.
What did he do his first plate appearance?
He flew out
Pitch is a called strike. No balls and one strike. We're in the third inning from Maryville. Starting to cloud up a bit once again. Short lead at first. One out. Pitch. Low and inside. Evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Between innings, I saw Jacob Franklin warming up in the Oak Ridge bullpen. John got a strikeout to start this inning. Gave up a single just a moment ago. 1 ball, 1 strike. Takes it high and outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Don't have the typical student section on the road. Hopefully you'll come out and support the Wildcats on Monday as the Wildcats travel over to Powell. Take on the Powell Panthers in a district ball game. Short lead at first. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Hits him in the back. They'll have runners at first and second. One of the things that really hurt Oak Ridge in the game, one of the games we lost at Central, I guess, was the giving up a lot of free passes and giving up some extra, putting them on base with walks. I think there was 11 free passes, whether walks or batters hit by pitches, and that's always dangerous, especially when you're in this part of the order.
And against Central, that was a game changer because they like to put bunts down, get the ball in play, and move those runners around, put them in scoring position. Up to bat now is Brady Orr, the third baseman. He flew out to left field his first at bat.
Squares to bunt, takes the ball outside. 1 ball, no strikes. 3-0 Rebels. John Ulrich comes to the plate. High and inside. And it's 2 balls and no strikes. One thing we've got to train Zach a little bit better on is the scoreboard. What's it? 2 balls, no strikes. Timeout is asked for. Ulrich was about to deliver the pitch. Timeout was asked for by the umpire. Umpiring's been really good in this one. Wish we could get the same at home.
Yes.
Did I say that? That's
Especially
mean. Shouldn't have said it.
Last week, many of you might remember against the same team, the first pitch could have been fair, could have been foul.
It was definitely foul, but that's okay. Good umpiring so far today. Appreciate that. Always makes the game a lot more fun to watch, but doesn't give me a lot of fun things to say. 3-0 pitch. Ball 4 scoots away, and the bases are going to be loaded. So a single, a hit batsman, and a walk. And they've got the bases loaded, Joey.
Batting now is Kane Baber. He had a single his first at bat and ended up scoring later on in the inning.
Here comes Coach Free, head coach of the Wildcats, asks for time, and he is going to bring Jacob Franklin in to pitch. He's going to come in from left field and take over. Kind of a different style of pitching, as we're about the Maryville team is about to see. Side armor, doesn't throw with high velocity, but relies on breaking pitches and control, which he normally has. Izzy's going to move out to left field and take Jacob Franklin's spot, and John Ulrich's day is over, and here comes Jacob Franklin for his warm-up tosses. We're live in Maryville on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. We appreciate all of you watching today. Our next broadcast will be Monday from Powell when the Wildcats take on the Powell Panthers in a district ball game. The Wildcats are 2-1 in district play. Actually, let me check that. They are 3-2 in district play. Actually, let me think. They lost to Central. They are 3-1 in district play. And Jacob comes with the sidearm stuff. A lot different from what John was throwing,
It's
or how
definitely-
John was throwing.
Yeah, definitely is a little bit different. Every single batter has faced John at least twice, so I'm going to be interested in seeing how they do.
Defensively for Oak Ridge, entering the
Jacob's last game was that Central ball game at Central. He started the ball game, was not the pitcher of record. He pitched into the second inning, came out. Izzy is playing left field, and we'll see how Jacob can do. He's going to inherit a mess here. The Rebels have the bases loaded. There's one out. The first man, John, retired the first batter he faced. He got a strikeout, but then gave up a solid soft single to right field. Then he hit the next guy, and just a moment ago on 4 pitches, he delivers a walk. Jacob's still warming up. Joey, April, tomorrow, first day of April, April Fool's Day. Are you planning any April Fool's jokes on anybody?
No, not really, especially not at school. They don't really tolerate those kind of things. No senior prank last year.
No senior prank at all?
No.
That must have been a boring senior class. How come they didn't do anything? You know, back in the old days, well, I'm not going to tell you all the things that have happened at Oak Ridge. I don't think Mr. Hawkins would really appreciate me kind of giving you all some ideas of things that have happened in the past.
Batting now is Kane Baber, the shortstop for Maryville. He is their first baseman.
Facing Jacob Franklin, and the first pitch to him, sidearm hit right back up the middle. Could be two. No, it's not going to be one. They get a run. I think what Jason tried to do was slide and just underhand it to his shortstop, and it looks like he might have banged up his right shoulder. They didn't get anybody, and the bases remain loaded. I think they wanted two there, but they just couldn't get the first out and the force out at second.
A good play by Jason to stop that ball. He tried to flip that up to Caden to get the runner out at second. Batting now is number 27, Max Coleman.
So another run scores, and it's 4-0 Rebels. 1 ball, no strikes to count. Jacob is a senior coming off of labrum surgery. We talked about him. He's kind of had to go to this 3/4. And he comes inside and way too inside. And unfortunately for him, he hits the runner, or the batter, I'm sorry, and the bases remain loaded, and another run scores. Trying to find his control. It's now 5-0. And this has not been a pretty inning for the Wildcats.
No, it has not. Really, a lot of runs against Oak Ridge this season have been walks, wild pitches. Hit by pitch. You know, it's really not much of the fielding. They're good defensively. It's, you know, sometimes they got to control those pitches.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Jacob comes to the plate. It's outside. 1 ball, no strikes. He got the ground ball he wanted, and it was right back past him. Wildcats just couldn't make the play around the bag. They might have gotten the force. The run would have scored anyway. I don't think no way they would have gotten a double play. They might have had the force out at second. But instead, bases remain loaded as that ball is hit to right field. Camden Welch back on it. He's got a beat on it. He makes the catch, and he throws it in. Cut off by the first baseman. And that's a sacrifice fly and an RBI. And it's now 6-0 Maryville. 2 outs here in the third inning.
Next up for Maryville, number 1, Will Hefner.
Batting for Maryville is Will Hepner, the right fielder.
What did he do his first?
His first at-bat, he flew out, and then his second at-bat, he got a double.
We are broadcasting on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio. We will on Monday at Powell. Jacob, runners on the corners now. There's 2 outs. Pitch bounces away and off the mid of, and they're going to have a play at the plate. He is safe, and that is another run for the Rebels, and it's 7-0. That has been a problem, as you said, Joey. I mean, it hit off his mitt, and he just couldn't corral it, and so that closes the door on John Ulrich. All of the runs on the board are his responsibility. The runner at second is Jacobs. 1 ball, no strikes. Franklin comes to the plate. Cut on a missed. Evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Left-hander facing the right-handed throwing senior. 7-0. I hit him in the shoulder. That's the second batter. Third batter actually in the inning that's been hit by a pitch, and the second by Jacob Franklin. You can see the frustration on Jacob's face. We seem to have an inning like this every once in a while. You just can't afford to give up free passes to good teams, and that's been the case this inning.
That's right. Batting now is Isaiah French, the catcher. He singled his first at-bat and grounded out his second.
They've had hit the Wildcats 7-2. They have 7 runs. Franklin trying to get out of the inning here. Pitch is down low, a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. You can hear the players on the field a little better in this press box. 1 ball, no strikes. Franklin has the sign from Kyron. Checks the runner at second. He's got a runner at first as well. That pitch is inside. Jacob just trying to find his release point. He comes with that sidearm delivery, and he's had trouble hitting the strike zone. That's one thing that Jacob usually has is control. 2 balls, no strikes.
You may know Jacob Franklin's brother, Alex Franklin. He pitched in yesterday's game. He ended with 8 strikeouts.
Well, hit on the ground. Jason Slave goes the short route to second. They've got the force out there, and that is the 3rd out of the inning. We go to the top of the 4th here in Maryville. The Wildcats now trailing the Rebels 7-0. We'll be back with the top of the 4th in a moment.
Leading off for Oak Ridge, number 2, Tyler Pickens.
Top of the 4th inning, about set. The Wildcats' Tyler Pickens will lead things off for Oak Ridge. The Wildcats have a steep mountain to climb. The mountains in the background. Tyler Pickens leads things off for Oak Ridge. First pitch to him is hit softly right in front of the plate. Pitcher fields it easily, throws on the first in time for out number 1. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 4th. Well, you know, I try to entertain the multitudes of millions of people that are probably watching our stream right now. Left-handed hitting sophomore, the pitch to him. Takes one high and outside. 1 ball, no strikes. So ball is hit in the air left side. Left fielder has a beat on it, calls for it, and makes the catch. Wildcats haven't seen a whole lot of pitches here in the 4th inning. I think 1 pitch to Tyler Pickens. And was that the first pitch to Richie as well? What did Jacob do? I think he struck out his first plate appearance, if I remember correctly. He takes a breaking pitch in for a called strike. Eddie Tan's on deck for the Wildcats. To our left, the Wildcat dugouts to our left. Oak Ridge wearing their cardinal and gray. That pitch is high and inside. And the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Here the Oak Ridge dugout making a little noise. 1-1 pitch, hit foul. To the right side now to play over the top of us. And Jacob Franklin behind in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Yeah. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Breaking pitch, barely stayed alive, hit it foul at the plate, and the count is 1-2. Jacob has the only home run hit by the Wildcats this season. That came first or second ball game of the year. It was a 350-foot shot for the senior. He takes one outside. Catcher tried to frame it and pull it back in for a strike, but a little bit too far outside. And the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Good catchers will do that for their pitchers. Well, Zach is back. We haven't been doing the camera, have we? That's all right. I'm doing a little radio play-by-play. I heard they were able to watch as that ball is hit foul once again. 2 outs here, nobody aboard in the 4th inning. Maryville on top of Oak Ridge, 7-0. They've out-hit the Wildcats, as I mentioned, 7-2. Mikey Teasley and Kyron Welch were the only base hits for Oak Ridge. They've had several. Here's the pitch. Ball's hit to right field. Down the line, it's going to drop just foul. Maybe about 8 or 10 feet, and the count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, you know, the first 2 batters swung at the first pitch and got out on the first pitch, so Jacob making him work a little bit more. Maryville defenders return to their positions, and I like their uniforms too. Like you said, they like the USA kind of theme, red, white, and blue. 2-2 pitch. Here comes the Jacob Franklin breaking pitch. Hit up the middle. Great at bat for Jacob Franklin. Like you said, he actually fell behind in the count and just fouled him off. Finally found a pitch that he liked and gets a base knock, and a good job of hitting for Jacob. Courtesy runner Eli Baldwin comes in the ball game for the pitcher Jacob Franklin. Eli scored the winning run in the walk-off win against the Central Bobcats the other night. Boy, as we were watching the highlights of that, Eli he almost got out at first, he almost got out at third, and then he scored the winning run. So the ball was hit foul. Opposite side towards the Maryville dugout to our right, and these are true dugouts. We've talked about that everywhere we go. Nobody has a true dugout where it is actually in the ground. These are true dugouts, Joey. The cages, right, look like storage sheds, but a beautiful park. Tommy Shumpert Park's a nice park, but their dugouts are a little different. Runner going, pitch is hit foul once again off the helmet of the Maryville catcher. And Eddie's behind in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Freshman Camden Welch is on deck for the Wildcats, playing right field today. We might see him pitching a little bit. Wildcats don't play until Monday. They play Powell. As we mentioned, that game will be at Powell. 6 o'clock, I think, will be the start time. And the Wildcats will host them on Tuesday night. Eli takes a good lead at first, and he's back to the bag, thrown over there by the pitcher of the Rebels. And the count is 0-2, once again to Eddie Tan. Still is. Still an infielder. Once again, a foul ball. Staying alive, no balls and 2 strikes. Wildcats trying to get on the board. One of the Wildcats struggled just a bit. With her offense yesterday, failed to score. Throw over to first once again. Back to the bag goes Eli Baldwin. But yesterday, Dylan Loy was so good against the Wildcats. I mean, UT will be getting a good one when he goes, the Pigeon Forge pitcher. What if they have a number 2 pitcher? Or here's Eli going, the pitch is high and outside, the throw down, and he should be out by about a foot, and that is the case, and Baldwin is retired for the 3rd out of the inning. So we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. So far it's all Maryville. They lead the Wildcats 7-0. We'll be back to Maryville in a moment. Welcome back to Maryville. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning. Oak Ridge trailing 7-0. Been out hit 7-3. Jacob Franklin begins his first full inning of work. He took over for John Ulrich.
Jacob's second inning pitching. He's did well. The first inning was able to kind of dig out of the mess that he was put into, but batting now is Sam Young, the DH.
What did he do his first or second?
He had a double his first plate appearance and then struck out his last.
Takes a strike there, and it's one ball, or no balls and one strike. My apologies. First pitch, and I was going to make the count even. I was going to give Jacob a ball. One strike the count, the pitch. Inside. Now the count is even, one ball, one strike. No changes really defensively except Izzy Mitchell is in left field. He took over for Jacob, who's on the mound for the Wildcats. One ball, one strike, nobody out, nobody aboard. Righty comes to the plate, hit foul. Takes the mid off of Kyron. And might have been catcher interference, that is the case. I should have figured that out. So evidently the bat struck Kyron, and that's how his mitt got thrown off like that, and that's a free base to the base runner, and that's tough.
And speaking of Izzy, it's always good to see him out there in left field. He's always working hard on the baseball field, and I believe his grandmother always tunes in to these broadcasts too. So
his family is loyal to all of our broadcasts, whether it be football, basketball, golf. Oh yeah, we didn't do the golf team, Joey. I'm sorry. I don't know how I would do golf, as that pitch is a little bit low and inside. That would require me to probably, since it's usually just me, to walk from hole to hole. I'm a little old for that. I don't know if I want to do that.
might have to get some new equipment as well.
A
couple
do they let you
drones.
do carts on these golf?
The players cannot use carts,
But old guys like
parents
me,
can. Yeah.
they'll let.
Yeah.
So you're okay. I might just do that. Oh yeah, you're not on the team anymore. You're graduating. Oh well, it was a thought. 2 balls, no strikes. Good lead at first. Really big lead at first for the base runner. And the pitch is a ball, and it's 3 balls and no strikes. One thing I've noticed, our leads have not been as big. Typically, we're not as go out as far as he is, right to the cutout there as it gets back to the normals. That pitch is a strike. I don't know how to really what I'm saying, but the little curved area there. Typically, our base runners go to that, and that's where they take their lead. They have not done it today. He is beyond that mark. But in a 7-0 ball game, some respect between Coach Sullivan and Coach Free, I believe, don't really want to be running all the time against the Wildcats. There is ball 4, and they have runners at first and second with nobody out.
Batting now is Eli Haynes, the left fielder. He flew out his first at-bat and was hit by a pitch his second. He ended up scoring as well on that.
Zach's doing our camera work today. His first as doing a baseball game. Zach, did you do any baseball last year with us?
I did actually, yeah. I always enjoy coming out here and helping you, and I love watching these boys.
Right now, the Rebels have the upper hand. 7-0 is the score. They have the bases loaded. We're in the 4th, or actually, runners at second and third. Am I watching the game? Same game y'all are watching. The first and second, as that pitch is up high. 2 balls and no strikes.
Maryville's really been able to get on base today and move these runners around. They've scored off of a couple wild pitches, but a lot of RBIs from this team too.
So Joey, are you a Braves fan?
You know, you can't really hate the Braves. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but
Zach's a Mets fan, though. We're leaving him here in Maryville. He's going to have to find his way back. Jacob comes off the rubber and chases the runner back to second. Let's get back to baseball here. 2 balls, no strikes to count. I'm going to get focused here. 2 balls, no strikes. Jacob Franklin, senior pitcher for the Wildcats. Was our number 2 starter a year ago. An arm injury has kind of cut down on his work. Pitch, outside corner for a called strike, and the count is 2 balls and 1 strike. He was in a sling, had surgery, I guess in May, and was in a sling and didn't really get out of it. Didn't really even get cleared to throw until late in the fall, maybe the early part of December. And he's out pitching for the Wildcats. He loves baseball. 2-1 pitch. inside. And Jacob kind of digging himself a hole. Got runners at first and second, nobody out. He's got a 3-ball, 1-strike count on this left-handed hitter. Kyron gives him the sign, relayed him from the head coach. Coach Free, the pitch. Hit well into left center field, a base hit. A solid hit, fielded by Izzy out there, and it gets past him and it rolls to the fence. 2 runs will score on this one. And heading towards third. And it's 9-0. Wildcats a solid single, and it got past Izzy. He couldn't pick it up, and then he slipped a little bit, and 2 runs scored, and it's 9-0.
Nice hit by the batter there, Eli Haynes. He had 2 RBIs on that one. Good line drive.
Well, we'll give him 1 RBI. I think the other one scored on the error by Izzy.
That's right.
So, and the runner is at third, and that is the second error charge to the Wildcats. Solid single there, and it's 9-0. Approaching that 10-run rule after 5. The Wildcats will be batting in the 5th. Maryville hoping to get this guy from third, and they've got a good opportunity with nobody out. The pitch, it's a called strike. Nice pitch there by Jacob Franklin.
Batting now is Brady Orr, the third baseman. He flew out his first at-bat and was walked his last.
1-strike pitch. Bounces away, but not far enough. And the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike.
He was thinking about it. He's thinking about going home there.
He was. I'm looking at his coach kind of talking to him about that. The ball didn't really bounce far. Jacob kind of glanced over there. He didn't come all the way to cover the home plate area. 1-1 pitch. Inside a ball. 2 balls and 1 strike. Okay. Wildcat fielders a little antsy. They're in. They'll come home with anything on the ground, trying to prevent that 10th run from scoring. 2 balls and 1 strike. The pitch. Low and outside.
Jacob is a sidearm pitcher, if some of you may notice. I believe he recently switched to the sidearm from the overhead throw recently. Recently, I mean a couple years ago, during his high school career here.
3-1 pitch about to be made. Here it comes. That's a called strike. Right down the middle, right at the belt, and the count is 3-2. Jacob once again with a sign. Full count pitch. Outside, ball 4. And they have runners on the corners once again. We've given way too many free passes here, if you would, Joey. How many walks and hit batsmen have we given up to the Rebels here?
Let me
Way
check
too many.
for you real quick.
Thank you.
There have been 7 walks, and there have been 2 hit by pitches this game.
So a total of 9
Yes.
free passes. Got a pinch hitter as well for the Rebels.
Number 15, we will try to figure out his name for you just real quick.
Gott is the batter. Pitch is a called strike. And the count is no balls and 1 strike. 9-0 Rebels. Here in this beautiful facility. Beautiful facility here at Maryville, Tennessee. Runner going from first. Pitch is hit right back to Mikey Teasley. They have a play at the plate, and he is out. And he dropped the ball. And here's a throw to third, and he is safe. Runners going to second, nobody covering the bag. So a lot of things happened right there, and I don't wonder if Zach got any of them. A lot of things just happened there.
Yeah.
Mikey fielded the ball cleanly, came home, and evidently Kyron couldn't hold it. The ball, nice play by Mikey. He delivered the throw well. Ball came home. The ball just bounced away, and that's the 10th run. On that play, the runner tried to advance to third. The throw down there was not in time. Alertly, the runner from first went all the way to second. Nobody covered the bag at second, and now they have runners at second and third, and they're up 10-0 here in the bottom of the fourth.
Yes, sir, and that's a problem because if you're up by 10 after the fifth inning, it is a run rule, which happened to Oak Ridge the last time they played Maryville.
Pitch to the plate is outside a ball. The Wildcats, nice play by Mikey. He fielded it and did the right thing, came home. The runner had broken, and they, if the ball's caught and tag put down and he holds it, that's an out at the plate. But that's baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, things happen.
Even if that ball wasn't dropped, the runner may have gotten underneath the tag.
Ball gets away from first baseman, and we're going to play station-to-station ball as it's already 11-0. And that time Caden did a good job to get to the ball deep in the hole. His throw a little wide, pulled Tyler off the bag at first base. And they've got runners on the corners, and it's now 11-0, Joey.
It's definitely a problem for Oak Ridge. They were in the similar situation against Maryville, their first time playing. So they're really going to have to do some offensive work here.
Maryville, a junior, number 5, Isaac Roy.
Coming in to pinch hit is Isaac Fry.
And he's a right-handed hitter. Runners on the corners. It's been all Maryville. The first couple innings, not much happened, but you just can't give up 9 free passes and make errors, and that's what the Wildcats have done. That pitch is a called strike, and the count is no balls and 1 strike. Still nobody out in the 4th inning. 4 runs in. They scored 4 in the 3rd inning, 1 in the 2nd, and 2 in the 1st. The Wildcats shut out to this point. Ball's hit softly to the shortstop, and they've got a double play, and they do. They double him off at first, and that's the 2nd out of the inning. Soft line drive to Caden Black, who threw it on to Tyler Pickens for the double play. 2nd double play of the game for the Wildcats, but now there's 2 outs and another new guy coming in for Maryville.
Yeah, nice play once again by the infielders. Caden Black there turned that double play, and pinch hitting now for Will Hepner is number 22.
Ty Elder, right-handed hitter. I've said his name before. I ask these people, did he play sports, other sports? Football, yeah, I thought so. Pitch to the plate is cut on and fouled. Back to the screen, and the count is no balls and 1 strike. Once again, we want to thank the people at Maryville for giving us a lot of space here to broadcast. The weather was so poor when we got here. We were prepared to be outside, Joey, but they made a space for us in the press box, and you talk about a nice one. Think about our press box compared to this press box. Of course, ours is almost 80 years old, and this one is probably, I would say, about 8 or 9 years old, I would say. 7 years old, so looks nice. Really, really nice facilities here. 11-0 the score. We're in the 4th inning. 2 outs, runner at 3rd. Jacob Franklin to the plate. Outside with it. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, once again, thankful to be in here. There was a little bit of rain that came in during the game, so don't know how that would have affected our equipment here.
We appreciate having you. Well, we don't appreciate having you, Crowlums. The ball's hit to Jason Slay at second. He's got an opportunity. Throw is low, but dug out nicely by Tyler Pickens for the 3rd out. But the damage has been done. The Rebels score 4 times, and they lead the Wildcats 11-0. We go to the top of the 5th. The Wildcats need at least 2 to keep this game rolling along. Here in Maryville, it's 11-0 Rebels, and we'll be back in a moment.
There was 1 error and
back to beautiful Maryville, Tennessee. The Wildcats taking on the Rebels. Been all Maryville to this point. Eddie Tan leads things off for the Wildcats. They've out-hit us 8-3. Wildcats have committed 3 miscues and walked entirely too many people as that pitch is hit in the air on the infield. Shortstop calls for it, drifting over towards second base, and he makes the catch for out number 1. Wildcats in the previous inning went quickly. We've got a new pitcher in the ball game, 2 for Maryville. One out here, nobody aboard. Camden Welch steps in. Camden had a hit back in the, no, it was actually Kyron who had the hit earlier. See what the freshman can do here. 1 out. Pitch. High. 1 ball, no strikes. Zach's gone all the way doing our camera work today. Appreciate him coming on the road trip with us. He's a member of the soccer team. They blew out Carnes last night. Was it 7-1? 7-1, the final score over the Beavers. Beavers doing pretty well. They had a tie with Hardin Valley, 0-0. Beat Farragut in soccer this year too, so you're 5-0 on the year. Good start for the Wildcats Soccer Cats. That ball's hit well to left field, or right field, not deep enough though. And ball's caught, and the Wildcats are down to their final out. And the batter will be Kyron Welch. I don't know. It's nothing against soccer. Nothing against soccer, but a 0-0 ball game might be intense, as I told you the other night, but I like to see scoring, you know. Yeah. Well, I mean, as a student, that's a lot of fun to support your classmates and people at Oak Ridge. Looks like we have a pitching change. And he faced 2 batters, and coming out of the game, or he's changing gloves, might be the case. He trots over towards the dugout. I guess he is going to, well, I thought he was going to change gloves, but they're going to get a new pitcher in. And that was a pretty breaking pitch on his warm-ups here. Wildcats take on Powell on Monday. That'll be at Powell. Then Tuesday they'll come to Bobby Hopkins. You know, a lot of times you see, you know, pitchers changed in innings, but what we saw the other day at Central, I had never seen in a high school game unless an injury took place. Remember that? They changed batters in the middle of the at-bat. Which I'd never seen before in a game twice. I've seen it if somebody gets hit or injured or, you know, pulls a muscle or something has to come out because of that, but I'd never seen that before, and that happened twice in that game. It did for both times. It was very successful. Central coach knew his players for sure. One guy came in with an 0-2 count and promptly singled to right center field and picked up a couple RBIs, and the next guy came in and bunted a perfect bunt. But, you know, I'd just never seen that. Wildcats are going to get a pinch hitter into the game, and Riley Rehill is going to bat. Good to see the senior get a chance to bat here. He had 3 hits in I think it was the South Doyle ball game, and hasn't played a whole lot, hasn't batted a lot. He's played a lot in the field, but senior getting a chance to play. 4-year member of the program, and he hits the ball promptly and to right field for a base hit. Good job, Riley Rehill. He swings at the first pitch and gets a base hit, and that's the 4th hit of the game. Good to see Riley get a base hit. And here's the number 9 hitter, Jason Slay. The Wildcats need 2 to keep the game rolling. There's 2 outs. Potential at the plate here with Jason Slay. And the pitch is outside a ball. Wildcats are not going to risk going down to second. You don't want to end the ball game on a getting caught down at second base. So Riley wisely stays around the bag at first, and Jason will stand back in with a 1-ball, no strike count. Short lead. Pitch hit well to center field this time, and it's going to be caught on a beautiful play, and that ends the ball game. Nice play out in center field, and the Rebels win the ball game by a final score of 11-0. Ball was hit okay. Nice play out there by their center fielder. So the Wildcats fall for the second consecutive day, and the second time run ruled by the Maryville Rebels. Final score of the game, 11-0. They out-hit the Wildcats 8-4. But as we mentioned, Joey, just too many free passes to the Rebels, whether it be walks or hit batsmen, too many errors. Wildcats made solid contact. That's one thing I was pleased to see compared to the time we played them last week. But still, the Wildcats just gave them too many base runners, and I don't know how many of those scored. You can do the math on that here in a moment, but it's just too many, and you know, you just can't win ball games, like I said, against really good teams like the Rebels. We'll be speaking to the head coach of the Wildcats, Coach Travis Free, at some point. Typically after losses, he has a very long conversation, so we could be up here a while, Joey Weston. And why don't we take a little short break? When we come back, we'll let you, I want you to figure out how many of the people who walked and got on base actually scored. So I want you to figure that stat out, and we'll come back and get the totals of the ball game. 11-0 our score. We'll be back in a moment. David Clary back here along with Joey Weston and Zach Dorman here at Maryville, the Wildcats. The news isn't pretty if you're a Wildcat fan. It's glowing and pretty if you're a Rebel fan. 11-0 the final score. The Wildcats defeated. Fourth loss of the year. Oak Ridge has a couple losses to Maryville, one to Central and one to Pigeon Forge. Hopefully get the ship righted on Monday as they take on the Powell Panthers over at Powell. It's kind of an interesting place to call a ball game. We'll probably be in the stands there. I don't know if Joey's done the math on the how many of the runners scored. Well, let's let Joey have the stats of the game. Still working on it right now, so we'll speak to Coach Free. I don't guess there is a junior varsity game. I didn't see the junior varsity guys rolling in. I see Rebels picking up the trash here. Hopefully they won't throw us out right away before Coach Free comes up to visit with me, the head coach of the Wildcats. And conversation taking place out in left field. The Rebels have they're doing their maintenance duties here, and they'll talk with their coach. They have a great facility. They've got a nice batting facility to our left, and the turf infield, nice press box, just a nice field in general. And the dimensions are fairly similar to Oak Ridge, not quite as deep in center or on down the lines, but just a really nice facility. And we've enjoyed broadcasting here, and hopefully we'll be back again next year. Joey, you ready?
Yeah, so Oak Ridge gave up 5 of their runs off of either wild pitches or walking a batter and letting the guy on third just walk right in. Not many strikeouts this game, 3 total, compared to yesterday's game where there were 24 total. So John Ulrich had 1 strikeout tonight, and Maryville ended up striking out 2 of Oak Ridge batters. So a lot different game than yesterday. Really offensive game from Maryville. Good game by them. Isaiah French ended with 2 RBIs tonight, leading the Maryville team in RBIs behind Kane Baber with 2 RBIs as well. So Maryville was able to get runners on the bases and get them home. Back to you, David.
Thanks a lot, Joey. We're still waiting to speak to Coach Travis Free, so we'll take a slight break once again. Stay with us here, and hopefully we won't be too long. Well, I don't want to stay around too long. These people have been very nice to us to allow us to broadcast in the press box, and we don't want to mess up their hospitality. As we wait for Coach Free, we'll be back on our YouTube channel, Prep Radio, in a moment.
players.
We don't want to mess up the hospitality of the Maryville Rebels, so we are going to forego our interview with Coach Free. We're in their press box, and we don't want to stay up here much longer, and he is still having a conversation with his coaches, so we apologize for that. Joey, unless he makes his way this way here in a moment, your final comments on the game tonight is another rough one for the Wildcats against a really good Maryville team.
Yeah, this is one of the best teams that we have faced this season. Besides Pigeon Forge, they were a pretty solid team defensively. This Maryville team's probably not as good defensively as them, as Oak Ridge players were able to get on base a lot more. They were not able to end up scoring at all, but they did have a lot more base runners tonight.
Final score of the game, 11-0 Maryville. We appreciate Zach Dorman for doing our camera work. Appreciate Joey Weston as well. My name is David Clary. Our next broadcast of Oak Ridge High School baseball will be Monday. That'll be a game from Powell, and that'll be a big district game, much more important than these last two games that we have played. For Joey and Zach, this is David Clary. Until next time, saying so long, everybody.